Hello, welcome back to Blender LIVENODING. In this episode, I will be sharing how I created this kind of mecha robot creature. So, yeah, the nodes I use is actually uh, really basic. So the secret is actually I started with a skin modifier character. So I just show this. So okay, this is a skin modifier. I think the modifier is still on. I have mirror on. And then I apply skin modifier, and I have solidify. Maybe I don't need solidify, but yeah, maybe I can get rid of that. Should be displaced, I think. So I think soon, once it is processed, it's gonna start to break the topology into pieces. It seems slightly frozen, but it's actually, yeah, it was calculating. So okay, from this geometry, it's gonna break it into this dual mesh looking character using this process. So if you look over here, you can see there's objects in, which will bring our skin modifier into SVerchok, and then I just apply the matrix, so that's not very important, and then subdivide poke face merge by distance. So this process will triangulate the mesh, and then I apply dual mesh. So what we're gonna get is something like this. So we have two, somehow we have two being created. Maybe that's because I copy paste from a different Blender at some point. But the character that I want to show is actually this guy over here. That's actually the most interesting one. And this is after I use the dual mesh. What happened is that I'm using simple process to okay, I get it. So actually there's actually more process here that I deleted at some point. So basically I use polygon boom, and I scale it up or scale it down. Each and every plate here I scale up and down. So what happened before was from the skin modifier, I turn it into this dual mesh, and because this dual mesh is it's not symmetrical, it doesn't look great. So I use mirror modifier to mirror it and bisect it. I shouldn't have moved it. I shouldn't have moved this guy. It should be at 0, 0, 0. So it should probably mirror itself. And then once I have each and every dual mesh plate separated, I use Blender particles and explode modifier to separate it into pieces. So I think I might have a different version of this. So I have two Blender running, and this one is still rendering, but I have the one that's already completed. So this one have the Mecha Armors animation applied. You can see the skinning that I use is actually probably not the best for this kind of robot character, because each plate is not like a cloth, but currently it's stretching, so it looks slightly weird. But the technique that I use is actually, because Mecha Armors usually don't like this kind of separate parts of characters. So what I did was actually I used this original skin modifier, send it to Mecha Armors, let it do the rigging and animations, and then import it back into Blender. And then I use mesh transfer add-on. So there's mesh data transfer add-on. Let's enable it. So I select the high-res final mesh, and then I use this mesh data transfer and simply grab the source which has the Nisamo animations, and it will transfer it. So let me actually show you Stickman. I think previous version of this is easier to understand. So the idea, again, if I summarize, I started with a skin modifier shape base mesh. Okay, not this. I should have prepared this. From that skin modifier, I triangulate everything. You can actually use decimate. That's so much simpler and easier. So decimate the character, and then you use dual mesh node in SVerchok. Once it has this kind of like dual mesh objects, you can use this. So let's see if this one actually easier to understand. I separate each and every plate using polygon boom, and then I use transform mesh and scale the plate. So let's reveal the secret once again. So we don't need all this character. Those are just example. Alright, so we have this. Okay. Apparently, I shouldn't just apply subdivisions. Without subdivision, it's slightly more interesting. And then also, this character have particles, right? This is for the broken up, extra broken up using particles. Let's see if we also have proper face orientations. Some of them are overlapping, but that's okay. So again, reveal what's hidden. Skin modifier. I can perhaps still modify this. And then I can update. Go back to frame number 1. Okay. 1, 2, and then this character. It's almost like an armor, even though it's slightly too abstract at the moment. And maybe because this guy is also need to be flipped. So it's not 100% yet. It's not 100% perfect model. Okay, we can keep it down there. Update it once again. Okay, should update. File, save as. I think this is better. Save as 16. Okay, so after the dual mesh, I use polygon boom, transform mesh. I randomly rotate my plate, the plate of this character. If I, let's see, if I move this guy, if I make the scale smaller, for example. Okay, cool. This is actually updating in real time. So this is the plate. This is the dual mesh face plate for each part of the face. And from that plate, I think what I did over here also, you see, I am beside LIVENODING, beside the nodes that I use here. I'm also using Blender Modifier, and mirror is actually really important to keep everything kind of nice and symmetrical. Mirror, and I'm using particle and explode to separate further each part of the mesh. So I can really increase this number and update. And after I explode it, I smooth it. If I get rid of smoothing, it looks like that. If I smooth it, the plate's gonna separate itself more. What I forgot here to do is actually to use subdivide and then put the subdivide up there before. Oh, that's cool. Put the subdivide before the particle and explode. I don't know if I need to use solidify. Maybe I don't need. So I did actually made a mistake. Put the subdivision before particles because we want to have some subdivisions before. Okay, this is much better actually. Glad that I'm actually doing this video live noding because I know my mistakes. All right, now our character is more solid instead of like origami looking. Yeah, if I ever made changes to the seed, the character design changes as well. So there's a bit of calculations happening, but you can see for each blade, it's trying to separate it and making new kind of details. So instead of just having dual mesh, I'm further adding some colors. Not everything, but some of them. This kind of detail. So you can see this, there's a cut. That's actually because of the particles. Maybe I should increase the number. 100. So 5 times the original. You can see there's a nice cut. There you go. In fact, I can go further. Okay, very nice, very nice. One thing that's probably missing is solidity of this. That's why I use solidify for now, but what I really want is for each part to have solid closure. Currently they're only just flat, kind of like an armor. But the cool thing about this, of course, is because this is procedural. Once again, you can make changes here. Usually, it's a good idea to make that a little bit bigger. So, see what's gonna happen if I change the design. If I update it, so this will calculate the dual mesh, goes inside SVerchok, doing all the processings, and it's gonna do the particle simulation as well. Okay, and we should have our final result. With this guy, I use a random texture GS placement. This one is so much messy. I think this one was a wrong example. So hopefully we see something here. It takes a while, isn't it? Should do all the cutting. Maybe too much detail with the dual mesh. I should reduce further. This one's still rendering. It's good. With Blender, you can have multiple Blender running and do something like video tutorial. Yeah, maybe this one is running in animations by mistake. Oops, I should stop it. It's actually calculating every frame. But you get the idea. So basically, you start with Skin Modifier, pose your character, make your base shapes, and then you turn it into dual mesh. Alright, so finally we have this result. Animation still playing. But you end up with a nice kind of cutouts for each part of the plate. I guess this is not completed yet. There are a couple of things that I want to improve in the future. So let's take a look. So first, Skin Modifier, and then this character, and the final result. This one has all sort of cutter going on. I like this kind of cut. It's actually Blender Explode Modifier and Particles doing that. I know that since Blender 2.7x, we actually have that ability to make a cutout like that. So that's kind of neat. So these characters probably have too much detail, but this is not too bad for something that's actually automatic. Okay, so thanks again for tuning in. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.